The state of Queensland mandates the rental bonds of tenants to be posted at the Residential Tenancies Authority, or RTA. The rental bond lodgement includes data on housing type, location, and rents. RTA releases the median rent data each quarter by suburb, postcodes, and local government area. The data provide a timely and granular look at the housing rental market in Queensland. The data released in August 2023 shows that the median weekly rents of new leases in Brisbane in the second quarter of 2023 increased by 17% from the same quarter 1 year ago. In the quarter ending in June 2022, the median rent in the Brisbane local government area was $460 per week. In the same second quarter in 2023, the median rent of all dwellings increased to $540. The increase in rents is particularly large in smaller housing properties. For example, the median rent of two-bedroom units increased from $480 per week last year to $580. The $100 increase in median rent amounts to a 21% annual increase for the two bedrooms. On the other hand, four-bedroom houses only experienced a $50 increase in median rents from $650 to $700. In percentage terms, four-bedroom houses in Brisbane only experienced a 7.7% increase over the past year. Across suburbs in Queensland, we also see that suburbs with lower median in 2022 also tend to have a larger increase in rents. The figure plots the one-year percentage changes in median rents of Queensland suburbs against their level in the second quarter of 2022. Each bubble is a suburb, and the size of the bubble indicates the total number of new leases in that suburb in the two quarters. Suburbs with fewer than 30 new leases in either quarter are dropped. The median rents in most suburbs were up by between 5 to 20%. High-rent suburbs like Broadbeach Waters in Gold Coast and Noosa Heads in Sunshine Coast experienced little changes in rent. Hawthorn in inner-city Brisbane even experiences a drop in median rents. On the other end, Ipswich experienced rent hike by more than 40%. West End, a popular inner-city suburb of Brisbane, experienced more than 20% increase in median rents for the new leases. A few caveats should be noted. The rent data from RTA are only for newly signed leases in the quarter. Typically, newly signed leases account for just below 10% of all leases with bonds logged with RTA. For example, there were close to 200,000 tenancy bonds held by the ERT at the end of the June quarter in 2023. Less than 19,000 of these bonds were bonds from new leases. Existing tenants typically do not see their rents changed. The growth rate of median rents in a few suburbs may be distorted due to changing composition of types of shelters. Medians are less sensitive than averages on composition changes. But still, if there were an unusually large share of smaller units in the 2022 new lease, it would pull down the median number for the 2022 Q baseline. The growth rate in the next year would be higher than what a like-for-like comparison would suggest. For example, Toowong experienced more than 40% increase in median rents. But part of that increase is likely because a disproportionately large share of new leases in 2022 were student accommodations. Student accommodations tend to be smaller and cost less to rent. And 2022 saw a large increase in student accommodation as the Australian border reopened and overseas students gradually returned to campus. Toowong, being close to the University of Queensland, includes a relatively higher share of student accommodation. But that share may be even unusually high for new leases in 2022. RTA does not separately tabulate rents of studios or accommodations specially built and managed for students, such as student rooms. But to get a glimpse, Toowong saw 311 new leases of one-bedroom units in 2022 QQ, but only 73 in 23 CO. During the same period, the median rent of one-bedroom units saw a 54% increase. Meanwhile, The median rent of three-bedroom houses, which are less likely to be student accommodations, only saw a 5.6% increase in Toowong. Two suburbs, Parkwood and Upper Mount Gravatt, were excluded from the graph for being outliers. Both were close to the campuses of Griffin University, Gold Coast, and Brisbane South. Their extraordinarily large change in rents was likely driven by student accommodation. Moreover, privately rented housing and periodic leases may not show up in the ERT, a database. The new rental regulations, including those regarding periodic less, came into force in September 2022. These regulations may shift some periodic leases into new fixed-term leases, but it is unclear how it may affect the composition of the new leases. With these caveats, however, the data highlight the increase in the cost of living in Queensland, particularly in Brisbane. CoreLogic data shows that the annual increase of rents of all dwellings in Brisbane was 11% in May 2023. The increase in the cost of living is particularly drastic for renters who may least afford it. A few factors may contribute to why the low end of the rental market saw a higher rent increase. One may be the normalization of interstate and overseas migrations, which may increase the rental government charges as a percentage of rental incomers may choose to downsize or move to suburbs with lower rent. This adds to the rent rise pressure in lower rent suburbs or units. Meanwhile, the average household sizes dropped significantly during the pandemic. Therefore, in larger homes, which tend to have higher rents, even when the household size increases, there may be sufficient space before one needs to move to even larger houses, which provides some leeway before adding pressure to the rents of larger houses.